as you start to go on this journey, you realize how there are these stages and different states of consciousness that become available to you. And the more that you kind of rise up, the more that you can see these different stages that you've been on personally, but then also in relating to the world around you. And it becomes a really powerful framework for understanding the various different levels of human consciousness that one can inhabit. When I first discovered the integration of kind of spiral dynamics and a lot of Western psychotherapy and Eastern traditions from Ken Wilber, I found it to be like a really powerful framework to start to understand how the human mind and spirit kind of flows and works and evolves. And with that understanding, you gain access to a framework that is so powerful when relating to others and then also to your own process on that journey. And so, do you want to share a little bit about what has been your journey with spiral dynamics and how understanding of these different colors that kind of represent stages of consciousness can go hand in hand to how you perceive whatever's happening in life?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for me, there's these different systems of understanding vibration, and whether it's like power versus force, the scale of consciousness, or it's spiral dynamics, there's different levels that help identify not only where our own consciousness is, but understanding mass groups of people, understanding people in your family, understanding why you have different values. And what spiral dynamics essentially is a way for understanding different levels of consciousness in the realm of values, value systems of what people value. And it's correlated with different colors. Now, the colors aren't necessarily meant to be like in color of like purple's the highest vibration and red's the lowest one. It doesn't really have a correlation there, but understanding these different colors, there's a certain values that each of these colors have that then help you understand people in your family, help you understand different organizations, different, the level of teachings. So you can also understand your audience more. That's another way that it's very much helped me understand where am I helping people go from, what color into what other color, So just as a very brief, there's videos online and there's books and all this stuff about it that go much more into detail. But like in my group of friends, there's a lot of times we'll talk about the different colors. Oh, this is very blue. This is very orange. This is very green. This is very yellow, Blue is a level of consciousness that's very much about conformity. It's very much about religion. Organized religion falls within the blue. It's people that find safety in doing what other people are doing. So blue is very much democracy, very blue. I mean, there's many analogy or many like things that can like kind of express itself through the blue lens. But blue is very much about conformity and religion and tradition and things like that. Above blue is orange. Orange is success. It's science. It's that of capitalism. It's working out and going to the gym. It's orange is like that level of also it's more independent. So every level that goes up, it goes from community to individual, community to individual. And there's these fluctuations through society even that we go through. And there's different countries that have a different color that they may embody. And that's why when you go to different places, there's a different level of color that might be active. Like I went to New York last week. I was in New York for a week. Extremely orange place. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's masculine, it's crazy, it's busy, it's stimulating.
Yeah, it's like the epicenter of using your willpower to create.
For sure, 100%. Yeah. And that's what a lot of orange is. Orange is like that willpower. And so you got blue, and then you got orange, and each level as you go up, you take with it the information that you learned below it. Mm-hmm. So once you're orange, you remember what it's like to be blue. You remember what it's like to have this gravity in blue where you find safety and conformity and religion, all of that stuff. So that's orange. Like just kind of giving a quick taste to everyone that's listening right now of what these things are. Above orange is green. Green is more flowy. Green is plant medicine. Green is being vegan. Green is community and connection to each other. It's we're all one consciousness. It's a lot of the content that we share is very green. And it's something where people want to feel connected to each other. It's where a lot of times, if you think about it, you might have someone that grew up in like a blue mentality where the parents like, this is the religion you believe in, this is who you are, and you kind of like do what you're told, and then eventually you might get into business. You might start thinking for yourself, get into business, build a business, and then what happens is 20, 30 years you do that, and then eventually what happens? A lot of people become philanthropists. They want to give back. And philanthropy is like green, right? They want to give back. You evolve through these colors, you evolve through the stages as you move up. Now, what happens is once you're in a certain stage, your values are different than every other stage, and you believe your values are correct. So if you are super religious and in blue, and none of these are right or wrong, by the way. None of these are right or wrong. They're just ways of understanding different levels of consciousness. If you're in blue and you're like, well, this is the way things are, you see someone that's in orange, that may trigger you. All these capitalists, they're making money, they're hurting the environment, this, that. And then the hippie person that's in green, that person will trigger you too. It's like, they're so there's like this energy that triggers them. You know what I mean? That kind of energy. And that's how you know there's like a separation between those energies based on the energy someone's embodying. And they say that in general, we may have a certain gravity, but we may also have certain aspects of our life that kind of like move between these different levels. Now, the main point though is that between that of blue, between that of orange and green, when you're in those colors, you think your way is right. If you're green and you're vegan, this is the right way to go about it. This other levels are destructive. They're hurting the environment. A lot of times then greens also look to orange and be like, they're hurting the environment, this is the wrong way to go about it. And even below blue, there's red, which is more like, there was time in our society when red is like Game of Thrones, red, narcissism, thinking. Red. Yeah. What'd you say?
Like very like magical thinking.
That's even more purple.
Oh, below.
Purple is below red, and they're magical. They're like magical thinking. There's still tribes on the planet that live in purple.
Yeah.
And then below that is beige. Beige is baby. Beige is like you can't care for yourself. It's like caveman or baby status.
Yeah.
And then, but the most relatable to our society, I would say, is probably blue, orange, green. Above that though is yellow. Yellow is a stage that's called flex flow. When you're in yellow, it's kind of like you understand in a way that beliefs create reality, and you understand all these other levels because you were once there. And what happens is you see that they are like you more so develop systems to help like increase the level of consciousness and stuff like that. It's more about systems thinking. And in that yellow level of consciousness, you realize it's not necessarily that this one's right, this one's wrong. You see that they're just different perspectives. Now, one common thing I will recognize, or I'll say that this is something I did. I was in more like blue-orange. I skipped up to green when I went through my awakening, and I hadn't properly balanced out or integrated orange. So this happens a lot with spirituality, right? You become spiritual. Oh, I'm all about love. Love is the currency, and this is who I am. But there was never a mastering of understanding abundance and money and the system in our reality that we use to like energy exchange, right? So in 2012, when I went through my awakening, I shifted up to green and I was like, screw the system. Money's a control factor and there's all this stuff. And I went through this whole phase where like I didn't like money. I didn't want money. I didn't like it. It's a control factor that's used on the planet. And I skipped orange and in a way spiritually bypassed it because I had all these triggers around it because I was now in green. But what I had to do is I eventually had to go down to orange and I had to integrate orange properly, which meant having a healthy relationship with abundance, having a healthy relationship to the systems of adding value out into the world. So I say that it's maybe something that some people at certain points can identify with because I did and I see it happen a lot, but it's like we jump a level and we don't properly integrate the bottom levels. But the reason this helps too is you can then look at people in your family and understand why they are where they are. It's not like we don't necessarily need to have like a spiritual ego about it. Like, you're blue, so low vibe, But like my dad, for example, is very blue. He's a fire investigator. He likes politics. He likes that of, watches the news and sports and stuff like that, which are all very blue activities, and he never has maybe really understood what I do over here, like making YouTube videos and stuff like that. And it helps me understand where he's at to where it's kind of hard for maybe someone in blue. And just now, like, it's funny, I showed my dad the show Shark Tank back in the day. And at first he's like, what is this show, Shark Tank? I don't want it on. I'm like, it's awesome. Watch Shark Tank, And then eventually he's like obsessed with Shark Tank. And I'm like, that's my dad's blue starting to dip his toes in orange. He's like, Shark Tank, business, stuff like that, you know? So it's kind of funny to see people go through on the spiral to go through these different levels, but understanding my family, understanding relationships and the people you attract, you know, like there's different drawbacks, there's different benefits and like negative side effects of different colors. There's a toxic and a healthy side of every color.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like understanding these levels helps you understand people, helps you understand your audience of where most people are, helps you understand why some people, like anytime I'm in my YouTube comments and I see someone, not in a judgmental way, I'm like, you're just low vibe, but like somebody that like, you know, really is triggered by what I say in my YouTube videos that maybe as a certain like religious viewpoint and anything I do is like the devil, you know, I understand it's just a different level of, I don't have to take it personal. Like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
It's a blue mentality that someone resonates with that's being expressed and put onto a comment section.